Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Ellen. So today's a little bit different kind of tutorial. I'm having a little conversation about being frustrated, and if you're having difficulties painting and you're new to this, or even if you're not new to this and you're just trying to do something and it's becoming like too much and you're just like, I give up. What I want to say to you is don't give up. Take a breath, okay? We all have bad weeks, months, days, whatever. I, myself, had a really bad week painting. I'm working on some stuff for clients and I wanted to paint some florals that I haven't normally painted on different, like I paint florals in hot press and cold press, but I wanted to paint more of a sophisticated kind of layered glazing floral on the hot press, and I was not getting there. My flowers are not looking good. I must have threw out like 5 or 6 paintings. I was just like, ugh. And then like last night at midnight, I had a total breakthrough. So I ended up painting something like this, which I kind of love, you know, little sweet flowers. But it took a while. It took a while. And even for me, I've been painting forever. I think I've been painting since I was like 5 and I'm 55. It's like 50 years. So please don't be hard on yourself. I hate people being hard on themselves and, you know, demeaning how their growth is going. It takes, I'm still at it. I'm still at it. How many years later after college, you know, I graduated in '89 and I'm still at it. I'm still learning, still growing. This is not a process where you're going to be like, oh, in a month I'm going to be this great and that's great. This is an ongoing learning process. This is life, like life is, ongoing learning. Every day is something else new. I don't want people to get frustrated with painting and walking away. That's the worst thing you can do. And I don't want people to get frustrated like, oh, I'm never going to have my own style. No, you will. And the key to that, which I talk about in some of my tutorials, is to keep painting, learning, but also using your own photographs, drawing some things from your head. Even if they're crazy and kooky to, you know, to other people, they're good for you. I mean, there are ways people stylize. They take like just a fruit and they turn it into something different. Like, so the orange has like flowers inside of it in a bowl with, you know, with patterns around it. You're using seriously bright colors. I have some artists that I love that use, all their paintings are just extremely bright colors. They don't use very muted colors, and that's their style, with bright colors, kind of loose painting, and they throw in some like pen lines and stuff like that. That's it. That's their style. If you looked at their portfolio, everything's bright, right? Then there are others who do everything kind of muted and soft. That's their style. It always it's how you gravitate, and you're not going to have it like overnight. It's going to take a gradual learning to get there. All right, so you might start off being bright painter and doing things realistic and really tight, and then later on you feel like, you know what, I don't like that. That's great. That's growth, but it's not going to happen overnight, and you're not going to be fantastic overnight, and you're going to have days and months maybe that suck. It happens. I'm kind of like, I go through phases of burnout. And, you know, sometimes I'm just like, you dial it in, it happens, you know, and sometimes I can't dial it in because I actually have to do work for clients. So I was having a rough week and I wanted to have a conversation about that today, about just getting out of your head when you have a rough week and just pushing through it. I know it sucks. It sucks. So I'm actually feeling good today because I pushed through it, you know, even though I have 0 sleep these days. But it takes time and energy and effort to push through it. You have to get over that little mountain, each little step, each little day. And like I said, if you wanted to do stuff that was more of a stylized your way, that is going to take time, right? And even then, you can constantly change and morph your way. I mean, there's some people that might paint the same way their whole life. But there are a lot of artists that grow into like, oh, they were painting realistic stuff or children's stuff, and then they've grown into this, and they wanted a different medium, and they've decided to do acrylic, and that's all they're doing. I know people that painted realistic kind of like beautiful things, and now they're doing all abstracts. That's all they're doing, right? So these things are never going to end for you. They're going to grow for you if you're interested in painting or doing any kind of creative work. It's all learning every day, even when it sucks. It's learning. You're learning, okay, that stroke shouldn't have been like that. Okay, I should have done that. Okay, I should have put too much water on that. So I had these flowers that I painted that I hated. They were coming out goofy. I was like, I threw out some other ones. I couldn't stand them. I was trying to paint this, you know, like that purple, pinky kind of like autumn hydrangea, and it was just a mess. It was not coming out right. And I was like, okay, I'm giving up hydrangea right now. I'm going to go to a different flower. And that's what you got to do. You got to give up. Maybe that flower is just not working for you right now. So then you go to a different flower. if you're looking for florals. And that's what I did. I morphed. I went back into like tulips and, roses and some other dizzy flowers. It just worked out better for me. So today it's just more of a talking tutorial, but then I want to just do painting with you with flowers. I want to talk a little bit about painting some like, white kind of flowers and how you paint color behind them so that white enhances. People might get frustrated with that, but see those white tulips that I have here sitting in this painting? I figured we'd do something like that. And still have a conversation about getting out of your head. Don't beat yourself up if you're not having a good day or a good week. It happens. And I know that it sucks if you're using expensive paper when you're learning and it didn't come out right. It's kind of the only way to do it. I went through a lot of paper, spent a lot of money, but then you get better at it. It's the only way to learn to paint on that medium, right? On that piece of paper, on that type of stuff, with that brush, with that paint, all that nonsense. So, without further ado, I'm fixing my little glasses here. Let's get painting some tulips and talking about getting out of your head. All right, so I'm going to just show you what I did for my little tulips. This is the Legion paper, 100% cotton, hot press paper. I like it. It's bright white. This is a block. And then I'll just be using my pencil to draw it in. And I'll be using my number 12 round Aqua. I know it's a big brush for this, but it's kind of the point. You want to make it kind of loose. So for a tulip, think of a U, the letter U, right? So I'll just do I'm going to do a couple leaning this way. So letter U, and then you could have little curves coming down for the petal and here and wiggle on the back. I don't know if you can see that very well. It's light, very light. I might have to draw it on a piece of paper so you can see it better. If I could grab some paper, here we go. So, it's a U. U, leaning. And then you just kind of wiggle and curve it down and wiggle and curve it in. And then do a little wiggle on the outside, and then you have a beautiful little tulip. And then you have the tulip stem and the leaf. Isn't that great? And then you can have another one over here, like curving. You can do it. Curve it down, and then wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. And then in here, you're going to be just painting a little dark color. Look how simple that is. And then you got the petals, leaves, kind of like that. I'd probably do like 3. I always do 3s, so I'd have like a third one here. You can have leave it like that. That's how you draw a tulip. So let me just draw this in real quick. So I had this tulip here, and I'll have one kind of leaning over here. And do another one. Could have one kind of out here. Maybe I'll have like 5. I don't know. I'll just do 3 for now. So there's a stem. This one's kind of leaning this way, and I'll do the leaves like I just showed you, kind of behind them, connected to the stem. Just like that. Okay. Now that I got that drawn out. So for the white part of the tulip, it's multicolored. I'm just going to erase a little bit of this because I don't really want to see too many lines. And I'm using a kneaded eraser. I have a bunch of colors here. So I have this color called Opera. And for the white, you want to use like maybe browns and grays, pinks, a little blue. I have ultramarine blue here. See, I've kind of loosened all these colors up. And a little pink, a little gray, a little green. So I have a little green over here with the yellow, and I've mixed with some ultramarine blue with that. All these many colors. So I'm going to go in. So grab some blue, gray, and you're just kind of going on the side here. Just a little bit of that color. You can see that. See? And I always kind of tap back. If you have too much water on your brush, just tap back. Get a little bit of blue. Water this down, add a little bit of pink. I'm going to add a touch of green. Just very light color tones. Little green in here. See? Very, very light gray, very, very light blue. Where this overlaps, see, this was kind of giving a shadow. I'm going to grab some of my peacock blue, water this down. Peacock blue is great. Water it down, maybe add a little brown to that. So it's a different kind of blue, but it's still a bluish color. See, go right in that little area where the two kind of meet. I put that like a little line, but I'm going to get some water and kind of blend that. Again with the gray up in here, bluish gray. So it has multicolored tones that I did on the flowers. And then the inside part, like a grayish blue or even gray, right in here. That one's a little too blue. See, the color, the paint is really kind of beating up. On hot press, it really just kind of sits there. I'm constantly going back and tapping my brush onto a paper towel. But you see how it's kind of coming together now? And you grab a little grays. You still want to leave white, but you leave all that color behind. Making sure you can see that. Okay, good. You see, that's white, but it's got all these different tones in there. You can throw a little pink, teeny bit of pink. It's so pale, these color tones. This one's a little maybe pinkish purple. And leave that, let that dry. And concentrate on the next one. Same thing, maybe add some grays. Kind of over here, a little blue gray here, and get back that wonderful peacock blue kind of poking in here a little bit. Just a little bit in here. Add a little pink, a little pinky tone. Can add some of that green on the bottom. See how I'm just tapping in all these light colors? And I call it tip tapping, but it's tapping. And then we have the dark color inside in the center. And then what you do is you let those dry and you can keep going back on top and adding more layers. This is the key to painting on hot press. This is the paper that was my nemesis recently. And I'm really good with hot press with ink and wash, but I was trying to get a little more sophisticated with some glazing technique here. And it will, see, like I sit some there. I'll have to come back to that. This one's still kind of wet. I'm gonna go to the third one real quick. Same technique. Maybe I'll use a little bit of different color tones in this one, maybe some greens. Kind of greens and pinks on this one. A little more greens and pinks. So you put a little green out here and on the side, and then I'll add some of that pink. Change it up a bit. Still very pale though, right? Gonna add some of that pink up in here. So it's still kind of like a whitish pink. And that light, bright chartreusey green. So that's basically yellow with some peacock blue or turquoise that you have. Kind of going in here and adding the green. Like I said, it sits on top. It's kind of takes time. You have to constantly go back in, fiddle with it a little bit. And then we have the color inside. I might make a little deeper green in here. A little gray. Just tapping with my tip of my brush. And then the outside petal. See how sweet and light those are? That's all you need. You don't have to fiddle too much with it. And then for the stem, I want a nice bright green, so I'm going to use peacock blue with me yellow. You see that? Because, you know, I think tulips have that bright, shiny, brand new kind of color. See? And this one's going to cross in front of it. We'll add some color tones to it. It's a little too one color. I'm lifting it. How do you lift color? You clean off your brush with water and lift some of the paint off. There we go. It's a little too bright green, but that's okay. Just showing you real quick. All right, and we're gonna work on the leaves. So I'm gonna add maybe more blue tones. So if you have ultramarine blue and you mix it with the yellow, it comes out to like a very sagey, it's not a bright green like the yellow and the peacock blue. Really kind of sagey. And then you can add some peacock blue kind of color tones to that. Okay, I'm gonna grab my greens and yellows. You see those greens I'm mixing over here? See? Got some bright green, I got the peacock blue, add some bright green to that. And then we're just gonna take this brush and push down, pull it, right? For the first initial kind of layer. We are gonna let that dry and go in and add some more color tones to it. Or you can just do a bunch of little layers like this. You start off with like not paint the whole leaf, maybe a few of the color tones like this in a stripe. Don't you remember that the tulips have kind of like these streaks kind of going into the leaves? Going over this. So we're going around that lovely tulip. Just pushing here. So you might be frustrated with this paper because you're not used to it, but it's going to take time. With this kind of paper, you're going to have the hard edges, which is what I liked and what I was going for. I didn't want the soft, blended, bleeded kind of look. So I'm going in here and filling in the leaves. Now I'm going to put a different color on this one. And we're going to keep blending, and not blending, excuse me, layering. This is the paper that people use for botanicals. Because botanicals, like really die-hard botanicals, you're constantly layering on top of layering. It's called glazing. So when this layer dries, you go on top of it and add another layer. So I'm trying to get this green behind this stem. Now that stem will stand out when I put a darker tone next to it. So right now it's just really light. When we start to build the color, here's ultramarine blue with the yellow. I get this deeper color. I'm gonna add some peacock to that and yellow. Trying to get the right color here. Just a little bit deeper. Now, we can add that deeper tone. Still kind of too damp, but I just want to show you. And you go around tulip. Now the tulip really shines because that dark color is next to it. And that's the negative space. This is the negative space. You painted the dark tone next to it. So that's going to really pop. See how that pops now? It wasn't popping before, and I'll put that same color tone. I will be adding some more tones to this underneath. So now that stem pops. You see that? You might want to go and play with some blues. I'll wait till they dry, but this one I'm going to play around with some blues on this one. This is already dry, and glazing is like putting another color on there. See? And maybe just another, loosen up some of this peacock blue here. Blue tone. Doesn't have to be this bright, super green all the time. I'll put some of that blue in there. You see? Now this whole entire tulip pops. And you go in this one. Same thing. The darker tone. I might add a little brown, gray to that, just to change the color up a little bit. Remember that color just sits on there, so I'm gonna add some. I have a navy over here. Let's see how this works. Kind of blending that. And the last one up here. Ooh. I want to leave some light green on the side. Gonna go put some yellow, get a little brighter. It's up to you how you want to do that one. I kind of like this color. I don't know if I want to fuss too much with it. Just add a little bit of darker tones. Now I might have exaggerated some areas a little too much, not enough in some areas. So I'm going to play around with that. I'm going to go back in here and fix this. Get this a little darker so you can see the stems. See? Kind of play it down here and over in here. Now you can see the stems that we're crisscrossing. And then you'll have to add even darker tones to that. I'll go back in with some gray, some brown, some blues, some green. See? Maybe that's a little too dark. More of a blue. So that will stand out really well. See that? Take your time. Don't get frustrated. Adding some color. See? It doesn't take much effort. It just takes a little time. And then I'm going to go back into my tulips now that they're dry a little bit and put some more color in there. Especially in here. Just a little bit, not too much. See, I'm just kind of tippy-tapping, adding some deeper tones. And this pink one here, getting a little pink back in here. If you add too much, then it becomes not great. I'm going to get a little bit darker on the inside here. Maybe add some like greenish gray. Going to put some Paynes gray in here. See, I'm grabbing a little bit of the gray, tip of my brush, putting some down in here. And then I'll grab a little bit of the pink from like an outer petal of the other in the background. Now I'm just going to tweak all these other ones too. I'm just going to add a little bit darker gray in here in the center. See? Now that you can really see that it's popping up, I can add a little yellow in there. Yellow orange. It's really kind of a simple, take your time with this kind of paper tutorial. I'm going to go back in a little pinky beige in this one. A little blue too. Just little tweaks on the outer edges. Just so they stand out. It's a little too light right now. You see, you're going to take your time and go back over each petal. See, that was a little aqua, too much aqua. You can see I took some of it out. I'll go back in and add some this pinky color. And just take your time and just leave some white. And that's it. That's how you kind of do that. You just take your time. You might want to add some of those stripes that you see. A little darker tone. And the leaves. Getting a little bit darker. Still right in here next to my tulip. Just so the tulip pops in the stem. And this is it. You just take your time. See, I'm just kind of going back to my palette and grabbing like some greens and some browns with the tip of my brush, just a tippy tip. That's what I've done. I haven't gone crazy here. I might want to go grab some of this bright yellow and that green. And you can't really see the stem in this one, so I might have to go back in and fix this. This highlights a little more. Like I said, little browns, little greens. That's a little brown right there. Could have more blues. And that is it. That is how we did our super simple white tulips. So this is kind of a long tutorial about talking about getting out of frustration and showing you how to paint a tulip. And just listen. Don't get frustrated. Work through it. I had to work through it. You're going to have to work through it. It's going to take time. You know, give yourself some grace. Seriously. give yourself some grace. Nothing happens overnight. Takes your time. You're not going to become like the, master artist in a day. All this stuff takes time. And please do not look at other people's work and say, oh my God, I'm sucky. It's fruitless. It really is, because you're not going to grow that way. You're not that person. They're not you. Everyone's different. And that's how it's going to be the rest of your life. So, just because they're on their journey, you're on yours. Don't worry about everybody else. Worry about yourself. I hope that helps. All right, guys. I keep saying guys, but whoever's on here, thank you guys. Thank you so much for stopping by and listening and subscribing. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. And also check out my Patreon. Like I said, that's a place people go and support my channel, which I appreciate. And I have longer tutorials there. I might go into more depth about hot press over there. But this kind of paper is great to try and to practice something different and something new. It's a layering technique. It's taking time, but this really did not take much time at all. Less than 10 minutes. Slowly adding color. That's all you do. All right, take care. Have an awesome weekend, and I'll speak to you soon.